Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Daf Lamed today. We're starting from Daf Lamed Chesed Beis by the Gemara, around 12 lines from the bottom. Shevuos Hadayanan. The Mishnah focused on Shevuah v'moed b'miktzas. That Bezdin makes somebody swear. When he comes to Bezdin and he denies half the claim and he admits to half the claim, Asher Yomer Ki Huzeh, it's a Chiyuv Shevuah. It's called the Shevuah moed b'miktzas that Dayanim, the Bezdin, puts on him. Now there's a process. How does it happen? Asks the Gemara. What is the process of Shevuas Hadayanan? How does Bezdin implement such a Shevuah? What do you mean? You make him swear a Shevuah u'amura b'Torah. D'chsiv, vashbi'acho b'Hashem elokei hashamayim. When Avram made Eliezer swear before he left to find the shidduch for his son Yitzchak, he made him swear that he'll take only someone from his family. So the Gemara says, we make him swear like the Shevuah that Avram was Mashbi Eliezer. What does that mean? It means you have to swear in the Shem HaMiyuchad of Hashem, because in that story, when Avram made Eliezer swear, it says Hashbi'acho b'Hashem. So the Gemara says, no, that's not necessarily what it means. It could be that even the Rabbanon agree to Rav's statement, and it doesn't need to be Shem HaMiyuchad. That's not what Rav... Again, in other words, when Rav says that you swear b'shvu amura b'Torah, it's not the pshat that you need Shem HaMiyuchad. רק בשם המיוחד, אבל אתה משביע בכינוי, but if you do it with a kinoi, you wouldn't be chayiv. You wouldn't be chayiv. It wouldn't be a shvuah sheker. It's not it doesn't register. Yeah? So the Gemara says, so what does it mean, Shevuah Amura b'Torah? Nafkamina tzorech latfus chefza biyadei. It means that you have to hold a chefza de kedusha in his hands, like a Sefer Torah or Tefillin. Why? Because that's what happened with Eliezer. He was maniach yodoi al milas Avram, right? The bris milah. Mitachas yorach Avram adoinov, it says. Eliezer's Eved put his hand, tachas yorach Avram adoinov. That's a chefza de kedusha, the bris milah of Avram Avinu. So Mamela, we learn from there that every Shevuos Hadayanan takes place while the guy has to hold a chefza shel kedusha in his hand, which is a Sefer Torah or maybe even Tefillin. Any dayan that makes a guy swear in the name of Hashem but doesn't give him a chefza de kedusha to hold the shas the Shevuah, it's not a good Shevuah. He has to do it again. Yeah, it's Torah b'dvar Mishnah. The Chiddush is not really a Mishnah. That's Rav. Rav is an Amoira. Sometimes Rav is a Tana, a Palik, but it's not a Mishnah. It's a memra of an Amoira. And still, it's considered Nasa Kamisha Torah b'dvar Mishnah. It's like his Torah b'dvar Mishnah, such a basic, elementary halacha, and it can be chayzer, and you have to do it again with Nikitas Chayvetz. Rav Papa says, Hay dayona da ashba b'tfilin. Even tefillin doesn't help. Nasa Kamisha Torah b'dvar Mishnah v'chayzer. You can be chayzer because it's not a good Shevuah. It has to be a Sefer Torah dafka. Says the Gemara, halacha l'maisu v'hilcha kavasei derova. Halacha is like Rava, that if you don't have any chefza de kedusha, you have to do it again. But v'les hilcha kavasei de Rav Papa. Halacha is not like Rav Papa. Hilcha is kavasei de Rav do not chefza b'yadei. You need some sort of chefza de kedusha. V'les hilcha kavasei de Rav Papa do not chefza b'yadei, because as long as you have some sort of chefza de kedusha, even tefillin, it would help. That's the halacha l'maisa. Says the Gemara, Shevuah Ma'umad, another halacha. Prat by a Shevuah, how Bezdin makes somebody swear, right? We just learned he has to hold the chayfetz de kedusha, Sefer Torah, or Tefillin. Number two, Shevuah moment, he has to stand. He's got to stand up. Talmud Chacham, but if he's a Talmud Chacham, then it can be Meyushev, right? Shevuah b'Sefer Torah, primarily you give him a Sefer Torah to hold as he makes the Shevuah. Talmud Chacham, l'katchila b'Tefillin. Talmud Chacham can hold Tefillin. Why? Why are we making on Talmud Chacham that he could sit and hold Tefillin unless you're chayfetz de kedusha? Answer is because the only reason why we give somebody a Sefer Torah and force him to stand is to instill,
to threaten him.
Yeah, to instill an awe, right? Emo, v'yiro, bereses, v'mazia, b'pachad, v'moire. What else? What other words you know? Yeah, all these words that would instill a fear and an awe of Hashem.
בא מישהו שם גם כן, יש
בעלי דינים.
באו לבייס דין בירושלים, ואחד כפר במקצת, והרב אמר, אתה יודע מה? תביא ספר של לוחות הברית, של השלה הקדוש. הוא חשב בדימות של שני לוחות הברית האמיתיות.
so right away he said,
הוא פחד, הוא כל כך פחד.
משה רבנו.
יפה, סיפור יפה. Okay, יד יראת שמיים. Right. Yeah, tell over the story you told me yesterday by Meirev with your grandfather. Absolutely. What a Maisa.
You know, I think it was, I told you, it was very well. He was able to get some money out of Iraq. You know, he was a jeweler, a big jeweler. So he had money, and it was in the beginning of like 10 years from the country of, you know, when Israel was like 10 years old. He loaned a crazy amount of money to a developer,
Okay.
100,000 lirot. With the staff, he wrote the staff for it, and he told him when you're going to bring, I'm going to finish the project, give me the money in a year. Past a year, my grandfather is looking for the star, couldn't find the star. I told this guy, you owe me the 100,000. He said, what is the 100,000? I only took 10,000 from you. So he said, let's go to Beis Din. The Beis Din says, they said, you don't have the star, we have to make him swear. So my grandfather said, I don't, now he said, I don't swear and I don't make other people swear. He let go of the $100,000. And I think 10 years later, he won the lottery.
It's a good Maisa. It's a good story. Wow. Zichuto yagan alenu.
The crazy thing, you know how he won the lottery was also crazy because there was a, I don't know if you remember, in Israel, they used to, back then, I don't know, maybe if you were in Israel then, they used to go from store to store with a pack of mifal apais, lottery tickets like that.
Yeah.
And like this, and the people used to sell it like that. They used to sell it.
They make it?
So
Yeah. No.
He had investment group office, in Bajab, and this guy used to come to him, I think, I don't know, every week when the Mifal Apais was. And my grandfather said, how much left? 30 tickets, I buy it. How much left? What, 40? I used to buy.
But to help the guys, they were selling.
Exactly.
Wow, amazing.
For years.
Yeah.
One year, it was very bad business. I remember it was that, it was very bad business in the 70s, 60s, late 60s, I don't know. It was very bad business time, the guy came to him and said, I cannot buy anything, I don't have. He said, you know what? I give you one ticket. And that ticket won.
איזה סיפור יפה זה, וואו, וואו.
Crazy.
יפה מאוד רב שאול. מה השם של הסבא?
משה.
בן?
משה בן יצחק.
משה בן יצחק. The following daf should be an aliyah for his neshama.
And his father was a student of the Ben Ish Chai.
Is a special person. I don't know if that's a...
שם יצחק מנצור.
Yeah.
משפחת מנצור, מקובלים, probably you heard.
Tonu Rabbanan. Okay, with the last line, Daf Lamed Chesem Ad Beis, we have the honor of having a new member in our shiur. So exciting. Yeah. Av Reich. Right? Av B'chochme and Rach B'shonim. It's a very special bacha. Tonu Rabbanan. Shevuos Adayonim, Afi B'Lashonim Nemra. Shevuos Adayonim could be made in any language that the person who swears understands. Okay. Oimrim Elohim, we tell him, have you day, you should know, Shekala Oilam, Shevuos Adayonim. Shekala Oilam Kulan is Dazah, B'shosh Omer Kodesh Baruch Hu B'sina L'sis Hashem Hashem Et Kachal Shav. The whole world shook, the globe shook, it shuddered. Yeah, this Dazah, B'shosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Omer B'sina L'sis Hashem Hashem Et Kachal Shav. Chol Aveirah Shebat Never Ben V'nakeh. You can be cleansed through tshuva. V'kan Nemar Lo Yenakeh. You won't be cleansed. V'chol Aveirah Shebat Nefroim Mimenu. Hashem pays you back. V'kan mimenu umi mishpachtoi, your family too. Shneim altit aspicha lachtis b'sorecho. Ve'im b'sorech lekroivoi. Shneim b'sorecho l'salim. So you see, because it says altiten aspicha lachtis b'sorecho. B'sorecho is korov because mepsorech al tesalim. So when you use your mouth to swear shlo sheker, only from the person,
not from his family, but this one,
even from the family. Yes,
that's a scary one.
A scary one. Not only that, listen to this.
That's why my grandfather didn't want to make it swear because I told him.
Excellent.
He was afraid for his family.
V'chol aveirah shepotach nefroim mimenu, v'kan mimenu mekol ha'olam kuloi suffers from it. Shenemar oloi v'kachesh. He was a smart man, your grandfather. Asked the Gemara, ve'ema ad da'ovid lehu lekulu. Yeah. Maybe the Peronius in the pasuk when it says the ganze Welt, the whole world gets punished Maybe it's only if he violates all of the Averas that is mentioned in the Pasuk, because all of the Kach is only the first on the list. It also says Ratzoyach, V'gonoi, V'noiv. There's a whole list of Averas over there. So how do you know it's only in the Shavua that the whole world gets punished? Where's the Leisal Kedaitik? Pnei Ola Ovla Ha'oretz. Because of Shevuos Sheker, the Oretz is destroyed. So you see that the Avoin of Shevuos Sheker is so chamor that itself brings a Chorban Ha'oretz. Eksiv. Al kein tavel oretz un lako yosh beba v'chol averes shebaterem yesh lezchus toilanoi shnai mishlesh adoyres. If you have zchusim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu pushes off the punishment for 2 or 3 generations. V'kan, but Shevuos Sheker nefroy mimenu la'alter, right away, no waiting. Shenai amaro yitzei siyo. Nu'um Hashem tzvakos zebor beis haganav beis hanishba b'shmil ha'shoker v'lo nebetech beis v'chelat v'zeitza v'savanav. So yitzei siyo la'alter, is mashma right away. Ubol beis haganav zegoyim das abrias.
Said something that, like, he made a sure this is something and it's not true.
Yes, that's Shevuos Sheker. Shevuos Sheker means when the Dayan and Bezdin imposes a Shvuah on you, for example, Moed b'miktzas, right? Moed b'miktzas Shvuah min ha'Torah, or Shevuos Eidechad, right?
Somebody that borrows something.
Somebody that borrows money, right, and he denies half and he admits to half, then there's a Shvuah min ha'Torah called Shvuah Moed b'miktzas, or Shevuos Eidechad. Let's say I say you borrowed $100 from me, you deny the whole thing, but I have an Eidechad, so you can't be Motzei Moment from an Eidechad, but you have a Shvuah. Or Shevuos HaShoimrim, Shoimrim HaPekodin, right? So also, anytime a guy swears falsely, these are the consequences. A guy makes a false claim against his friend, and he forces him to swear. Hagam, the guy who makes the shvuah, is going to swear correctly, honestly. You never really gave me the money. But the guy who imposes the shvuah on him, because he's making a false claim, right? So, even though the nitpas koifer hakoil says, I never borrowed money from you, right? And koifer hakoil is potter b'shavua min ha'Torah, but the Rabban is a shuas heses. You still have to swear. So still, there's an oynish there on the teveya for imposing that shavua b'chinam. El beis hanishba, ve'el beis hanishba shmil ha'shaker. Kamashmoy, anyone who makes his false shvuah. V'lon b'tech beis v'chilatu. V's'etze v'savon. V'lamaratu dvorm she'in ma'ayishmayim chal noisan. Even stuff that cannot be consumed by water and fire, Shevuos Sheker mechala oisan. Pachat chodim. Im omar eini nishba. If the nitba says, you know what? I don't want to swear.
I'll pay.
I'll pay instead. Poitchen oisan miyad. Bezdin right away says, okay, pay and you potter miyad. Im omar eini nishba, I'm going to swear. Ha'oim dim sham oimim zelazeh. They say to each other, Suru no mal ole anoshim rishoyim eila. They're called rishoyim. Right? They're both called Rishoyim. Even the Teveya, right? Who's Teveya Kahalocha. But because of him, this Shavua came about, he's also held accountable. That's why. Very smart Yid. He must have known. He must have learned Masech Shavuos.
I don't swear, I don't make any.
Unbelievable. When he swears, they tell him, you should know. You don't get to decide what the interpretation of your words are when you swear. You're swearing on our das and das of Hashem. We get to interpret your words. You got to be careful. You got to make sure that whatever word you use aligns with the universal definition of those words. You can't just apply your own personal perverted definition to a word as if you're swearing honestly. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was Klal Yisrael in Arvis Moav, they should be Kabbalah Torah b'Shavua. He said, right? It says, not just you alone. In other words, it's not on your das, but it's on my das and Hashem's das. Gemara says, Vaiter Kiyas Asher Yeshnei Poi. Right, Vaiter in the Psukim by Moshe Rabbeinu's Shavua, when he was Mashbiach Klal Yisrael b'Arvis Moav, to keep the Torah, it says, I'm not just making the Shavua on you, Es Asher Yeshnei Poi, Yimanu Hayoyim, that all of those who are standing with me right now. Even if the Geirim in the future will come to Mizgayer, how do I know that the Shavua, they're Bechlal the Bris and the Shavua to keep the Torah? Maybe it's only the mitzvahs that were mentioned at Har Sinai, but mitzvah Siddhis Les Chadish, Mikra Megillah on Purim. How do I know Menayin that even those mitzvahs are included in the original Shavua to keep the Torah by Arvis Moav? Says the Gemara, Talmud Loimar says in the Megillah, Kimu v'kiblu, and the Gemara darshans Kimu mashe kiblu kvar. They are Mekayim, the mitzvahs of Purim, which means the mitzvah of Mikra Megillah. Why? Because they're Mekabel the Shavua originally b'mei Moshe, and that was Nichlal in that Shavua. That was included in the Shavua to keep future mitzvahs. Amazing. My afi b'l'shein emra. What does it mean that the Shavua said the Yonim? could be said in any lashon kedetnan. What's af? Right, the Gemara's bothered. What's af? Say Shevuos Adiyana, but shoyin and amra. What is af? It sounds like it's something else. What are we missing here? What else is in the list? So the Gemara says, "There's a Mishnah Soita kedetnan. Elon amar b'chal lashon parsha Soita vidoy Lamed Beis. What's the zichru siman of Lamed Beis? Rocky lab, and what's the siman? Yes, it's Lamed Beis. Nah, you looked it up.
No, I didn't.
Wow, I'm just kidding. It's amazing.
So was the first one I did.
This yid can quote you what daf he does zichra. Amazing stuff.
I happen to know very
If it's sukkah, he'll be able to quote you any daf.
Sukkah, I don't know at all. But don't
Okay.
test me.
All right, we got big Talmidei Chachamim. That's why I got to prepare at least a couple hours a day. There's big Talmidei Chachamim here. If I make a mistake, people email me also. Yeah? All three people that are listening to this. Yeah. Kedetnan. Eilu namorin b'chal loshen. Parashas Soita. Nathan is he's smiling. Vidoy Meiser. Kriyas Shema Tefillah because Amos Shavuos Eidah Shavuos Dayanan Shavuos Apikodan, excuse me. Ka'ama Nami Shavuos Dayanan Afi B'Lashayin Nemra. All those Shavuos, right, are Nemeres B'chol Loshen that he understands. The ikar is you have to understand what you're saying, what you're doing, and if you do, and you do it falsely, you mention Hashem's name, you're holding a Sefer Torah, you're standing, and still you're going through with it. All the klolos that we just mentioned happen. Rachmuna litzlan. You should know, they scare him, they say you should know that the whole world, earth, shook. Does that mean, by the way, the globe, or does that mean the whole universe? Yeah? Yeah, I don't even know. What's called? I think it's the whole universe, no?
What's the center of the universe?
Yerushalayim? Yeah. It wasn't in Yerushalayim.
It was Har Sinai. So when B'shosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Omar Loisisa,
Center of the universe.
right?
Look at the Rambam. Look at the Rambam.
Aha. So it means Yerushalayim.
It's everything. It's the whole world.
It means, but it means
Everything.
like when I see a picture, you know the famous picture they have from Earth, the farthest picture ever taken in space from Earth. No, it was Voyager 1. No, from 14 million miles away. No, it's taken.
It was the web.
It wasn't photoshopped.
Guarantee you.
Okay, no, this is okay. We got to take this offline. But no, this is. We're going to fight this out later. I did a lot of research on that. That's an amazing. Yeah, and you see the globe is hanging. Mamish toila eretz al blima. Nothing, right? It's a tiny bit. It's the size of a pixel. He thinks it's photoshopped.
I know it's Photoshop.
Yeah.
Wait, it was from James Webb? Or?
What? ChatGPT? Like the uncensored ChatGPT told you?
The one from behind the moon, that one you're saying?
No, not that
The
one.
one from...
No, where's this picture?
The one. Anyway, it's you'll show it on there. It's called the pale blue dot. That's the picture is known. It's no known photo. It's called the pale blue dot, taken by Voyager 1 right before they shut off their cameras. It was 14 million miles
4
away.
billion, 4 billion miles on February 1990. Yeah.
Oh, 4 billion miles away?
Yeah,
Holy
4 billion.
smokes! I'm saying 14 million. It's much more. Yeah, 4 billion miles away.
Where?
Yeah, in space. Yeah. So when I think of Kala Olam Kuloi, right? I just take. I'm a visual learner, right? So I take that photo and I'm imagining that photo as Kala Olam Kulei, even though even in that photo it's just a tiny fraction of the whole universe, but still that was Nizda. B'shosha Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't say that, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu only said Anoichi v'le'yelecha. Leisisa was through Moshe Rabbeinu, okay? But still, it was Nizda Olam, my timer. Gemara asks why. What was so special about Lasisa? If it's because it was given on Sinai, Eser Dibras Namis Yav. All Eser Dibras were given on Sinai. Why only by this one did the world tremble? The Elam Hashem Techamira must be because this is the worst of all the Aser Dibras. The worst is Shua Sheker. Ask Mara Michamira. But nan Elin Kalois. What are mitzvahs? What are Averis Kalois? That Shuva can be mechaper on. That's a Sevelois Asay. Chutz Meloisisa, even though it's a lois essay, right? It's not miskaperes but shuva alone. Chamuros, what are averes chamuros? Zekrisas and Mrs. Bezdin. Any aver that you chayiv on that aver krisas Mrs. Bezdin, shuva alone doesn't help. Veloisisa imoyen, and loisisa is included in the chamuros. Agam it's only a lav, right? So you see that loisisa is in a group with other averes as well. So you can't tell me loisisa is the worst avera. That's why the world trembled when Hashem said loisisa. Because you see that it's grouped together with Averis of Karas and Mrs. Bezdin. So it can't be the worst. Look at the funny time. It must be the reason why the Olam shook and trembled when Hashem said Leisisa is because, like we said, V'chol Averis shebater nemer v'naka v'kan nemer lo yanaka. Must be because you cannot do tshuva on Loisisa. So the Gemara says, what? What does that mean? First of all, other averos it also says lo yanake. It says a double lashon, which is contradictory, right? V'nake lo yanake, right? So it means that you cannot be cleansed from other averos as well. So what's unique about lesisa, where it says lo yanake? Other averos says v'nake lo yanake. Gemara says no, that's not so pashut by other averos. So home boilik to Rabbi Loza. What lesisa? Which one? זה חמור מאוד. עכשיו הגמרא מנסה להבין למה זה כל כך חמור.
כי גם בעבודה זרה, גם כל המשפחה, כולם מקבלים.
אבל עבודה זרה זה לא כתוב בעבודה זרה שהעולם מזדעזע. The world didn't tremble by Lysasa l'chapesel or whatever, like other. Only by Lysisa. So Gemara's trying to figure out why is Lysisa so chamer? What's so bad about Shevuos Sheker? True. Saying it's even. Aha. Ooh, okay, Dr. Steining, each one had its own.
Wait, the first one was Ani Hashem Elokecha, נכון?
Anochi. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, L'yelecha. So Dr. is saying over there, Parach Nishmasim, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Pia Gevura Shemanu, the Gemara Makkah says, right? Right.
Those are the only two mitzvahs they repeat twice.
So עבודה זרה זה גם כן מסוכן.
גם כן מאוד מסוכן, כן. But could you do tshuva on Avodah Zarah? Does it say lo yanaka b'Avodah Zarah? It sounds like Shevuos Sheker, Lysisa has chumras that doesn't apply by other averos.
Is that the same as like a nader? If somebody makes a nader, he will not do something.
Is that included? You're saying is Lysisa? Does that include neder? No, neder is liyachal dvara, different issue. Yeah.
The person.
A shavua is using God's name. Yeah.
Or if you
Falsely.
made a shul without Hashem's name.
It's not. No, that's not. Doesn't hold up. Yeah, if you do it with kinu, that's different. Also, we'll see. Yeah, less chamer. Yeah.
We talked about the other daf. If you could say with certain words. Not
Right.
exactly
Rachon,
Shemaim
Chanon,
Haaretz.
Erech Apayim, Shmai V'Oretz. Right. That's a Mishnah. Right. Okay. What does it mean? It says v'nake and lo yanake by other averos. Either you can get cleansed through tshuva or you can't. It's a stira. Haketzad menake hu l'shavim ve'ena menake l'she'enin shavim. Nake lo yanake is referring to two different types of people. Yanake if you do tshuva. Ve'ena menake l'she'enin shavim. So over here I see the Rishonim say, what does it mean ve'ena menake l'she'enin shavim? That's pashut. I need a pasuk for that if you don't do tshuva you don't get cleansed. How do you need tshuva? So. I see the Ian Yaakov on the bottom of the article they bring down. He says that even if you do a half-baked tshuva, like let's say you do a Kabbalah lahaba, but you don't have charata l'sha'avar, it's a half-baked tshuva. That's included in lo yanake. You got to do a proper tshuva to be menuka, to be cleansed from an avera. V'nake, do the steps of tshuva which are really simple, basic, right? Charata l'sha'avar, Kabbalah lahaba, and vidoy, right? And that's basically it. So. But if you do only one half, then that's Eidem Menakal She'enim Shavin. So Kol Avei Shebatorna from Mimenu. Only the Chayta himself, the guy who's over the Avera, gets punished. The Kan Mimenu Mishpachte. The Kol Avei Shebatorna Mishpachte. Lo asks the Gemara, challenges it. The Gemara says what? Other Averas, the Mishpacha doesn't get punished. But Ksiv is something Ani Yispan Avei Shahuv Mishpachte. It says clearly by other Averas, by somebody's Maver Zari Lamoilech. It says clearly that the Kodesh Baruch Hu punishes the whole Mishpacha. The Tanya Reb Shimon and Mechata Mishpachte Machotas. Sacrifices his kids for Avodah Zarah. So there, the pasuk clearly says that he gets punished, his mishpacha gets punished. You're telling me only Lysisa gets that consequence? Right? Why does the mishpacha get punished? This is a big cloud. There's no family where you have a moiches. A moiches is a tax collector. In the olden days, you had the king appointed certain people to collect taxes, and they would collect more than necessary and pocket some of the money, right? So that was a terrible crime, al pitaita, right? You're forcing people to pay more taxes than they have to, and then you're pocketing the money. Sounds like Doge. What Doge is doing with all these departments, right? They take our tax dollars and they pocket a lot of it, right? That's the moiches we're talking about. That's the modern day example of moiches. We're not getting involved in Musk and Trump right now, but al kaponim, we're going to talk about the moiches by mishpacha. I can't help myself. Yeah, she'ein kula moichsin. That everybody in the mishpacha is guilty of being a moiches, not just that family member that's in charge and doing the averim.
The black cat went between them.
Yeah, she'esh balistim.
Between
She'ein kula. Okay, let's not get sidetracked. She'esh balistim. She'ein kula listim. And even if you have one guy who's a listim, you have to look at the entire family. Why? Because a lot of times the family protects the criminal, right? They know that their family member is guilty. They know that he did a crime. And what do? They shove it under the carpet, under the rug. Shidduchim. They're afraid of shidduchim. Shidduchim. Yeah, it's gonna. I remember I wrote up a story many years ago in the Ami. Yeah, wrote up many years ago. I wrote up a story, a gorgeous story about a Yid who came over to the shores of America. In the early 1920s, struggled with Shmir Shabbos, was Machal Shabbos, but then came back in a beautiful way. And this is 100 years later. I'm writing up the story. And there was a gorgeous story about a different family that met. I can't get involved in the details. But what ended up happening was I published in the Ami, I got a lawsuit in my email, Matzah Shabbos, I opened my email, the family is suing me for defamation.
What's the defamation?
100 years later, that now their children won't be able to do shidduchim. So I said, I had a whole, I had to hire a lawyer.
You should
Yeah.
have published that in the Ami.
100 years ago. But when you come to shidduchim, they ask you what table do you use a tablecloth? Yeah. What shul do you daven in? What kapata do you wear? Yeah. And they go back. Who knows how long? So here they should be happen all of you hide stuff.
Who won?
I only wrote it. By the way, I thought it's the most gorgeous story. What do you mean? It's a beautiful story of coming back in an honorable way. I should have, looking back, I thought I should have been more sensitive, even though it's 100 years ago. The family was very upset with me. Mention names. But here you see a little bit of a Haggash in the Gemara. The Gemara says that somebody does a crime, commits a crime, the whole family is guilty. Why? Because they usually cover up. You have to look at the whole family. So that's why the whole family gets punished. Gemara says, "Asam b'din achrina." Gemara says, so why is Loisisa unique in the sense that the mishpacha gets punished? You see, by Maver Zara L'Moilech, or Muchsin, or Listim, it's a price that the whole mishpacha is guilty. Gemara says, "Asam b'din achrina." The mishpacha gets a lower punishment. They don't get the same punishment as the guy who's over the Avera. But Hacha, by Shevuos Sheker, Bedina the day, the whole family gets held accountable with the same level of punishment that this guy gets. Kedetanya, Rabbi Yomer. V'chrati oisoi. Mata v'loimer. Why does it say v'chrati oisoi? Shenemar v'samtin is panavesha b'shachti yochel kol mishpacha kula b'ikares. Shtal Talmud loimer oisoi b'ikares v'loi kol mishpacha kula b'ikares. That by Maver Zari L'Moilech, only he gets kares, but the rest of the family, even though they get punished, they don't get the same level as the guy who's Maver Zari L'Moilech. Only that guy gets kares, and everybody gets a kal einish kal.
What do they get?
Doesn't say exactly. What do they get? Let's see. Doesn't say what the Rebbe is going to give them. But they do get punished. They get held accountable. From another unique halacha with regard to Shevuos Sheker, that by all the Averas, they punish him. But by Shevuos Sheker, the whole world is held responsible. And the Gemara brings psukim. Gemara asks, what do you mean? Other Averas, the whole world doesn't get responsible. Right, ganz Klal Yisrael is Oriv Zebuzeh. So anytime one Yid in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin does an Aveira, it's a tie on ganz Klal Yisrael because we're all one family. Atem Kri and Adam, you are one. There's no plural to Adam, right? Ish, Ishim. Anosh, Enosh, Anoshim. Gever, Gvorim. Adam, only Klal Yisrael is Adam. Why? Because we are one.
By the what do you call this trial for that guy with the blood Bible?
Yes.
That was his thing.
The Dreyfus case, which one?
No, it was the one. It was before the war. He gave a speech.
Yeah.
And he said there was like this guy that was accused of a blood libel.
Yeah.
So he said, why is it that all the Jews are coming? Because the government had a time on him. The Torah doesn't call any Goyim Adam. They only call the Jews.
That was their taina.
Yeah, so then you could just kill Goyim. So he said that's the reason why it's called Adam is because there's no plural for Adam.
Yes.
And you see all the Jews from all around the world are coming to save him.
Right.
No Goyim do that one.
Right, that's true.
And that's why it's called Adam. It's not because.
There it is. There it is. That's what it means. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'Zeh. Beautiful. Kacha zeh. It's true. I think it's a Gemara Baba Kama. Where's that Gemara? Atem Kri and Adam. It's in Baba Kama also. It's also in many places because we're not. Yeah. Yoitzer Ha'adam. Yeah, Yoitzer Ha'adam. Yeah, Ha'adam. Okay. I'll take the extra hay too. Why not? Says the Gemara. So what do you mean that by other Avedas that the world is not held responsible? You see, other Avedas also everybody's held responsible. Gemara says, no, by other Averas, it's only if you saw the guy doing Avera. You could have stopped him, right? And you could have been moicha and you didn't, that's when you're held responsible. But if you didn't see it, So what could you have done?
What about the
Yeah?
family, you know? The family could...
The family for sure. The family, if they saw it, bevadai, right? But they get an einish kal. They don't get the same einish that we said already, we established before. But what about the rest of the world? That's only when it's biyodam lemchas. So if you punish everybody else, so what's the difference between the family and everybody else? Or ben tzadikim de mishpach letzadikim de alma. The Gemara says hu b'shar aveiro is bedinei. Irshoim de mishpacha bedin chomer. Whenever he gets a einish, right, he gets whatever the einish akasa b'toyre is. Irshoim de mishpacha bedin chomer. Irshoim de alma bedin akal. So there are levels, right? So the Irshoim de mishpacha get a little bit worse, and Irshoim de alma get a little bit less. Tzaddik da acha ptira and tzaddik amar poter. Gab shvu hu Irshoim de mishpacha kedine. The mishpacha gets the same level punishment as the guy who swore falsely. Irshoim de alma bedin chomer. Tzaddik da acha bedin akal. So basically, the Gemara is saying that there is a difference, even though other people get punished by other averas, there's a difference in the level of punishment. By Shevuos Sheker, right, the mishpacha gets the same level of punishment as the guy who swore falsely. And the Alma, Rishon, the Alma get a very chomer digger level, not the same level, but a very chomer digger level of punishment. By other averas, right, then it downgrades a level right away. By the mishpacha, they get a lower level, not the same level, and by Rishon, the Alma, they get a kal, a einish kal. Okay, so kapanan, ma yoitza mesig yoseinu, don't swear falsely. Yeah? Okay.
Don't swear at all.
Oh, that, yeah, I stand corrected. Do not swear at all. Be like Reb Shaul's Zayda, Zechon Levracha, Reb Moshe, Ben Yitzchak.
They don't take it. People say, I swear to God. They say it all the time.
Wow. What's the halacha with that? We have to listen to Rabbi Rosner. What's the halacha with that?
Right, I don't know if that's considered a shiur or not, but the point is...
B'chol loshen emra.
Right, people don't take it seriously.
Wow. Ooh, wow. We have to know what it means. Yeah. Asur, huh? So we use it so flippantly, so loosely.
What about a neder in B'Shem Hashem? What about that?
You wanna know the neder. The neder b'shem Hashem. Ain't neder b'shem Hashem? Yeah, I don't know if that's the formula. Yeah, what about Chilul Shabbos? Yeah. Can. The mechanics are different. What about Chilul Shabbos b'shem Hashem? What about Chilul Shabbos b'shem Hashem? I'm saying, like, it could be a whole different, but it's, no, both are b'peh, so you're asking. Yeah. Okay.
Shvuah is saying something true. It's saying something true, another is saying that something was
So the gavra and the chefza. He has difference. Okay, it's just a different mechanic. Okay, so we go weiter. Im Omar Eini Nishba, Poitre Noisa Miyad. If a guy says, I don't want to swear, I'll pay you rather than swear, then Poitre Noisa Miyad, you have to pay, the Bezdin right away releases you. Im Omar Eini Nishba, if he insists on making the Shevuah, they say the pasuk Suru Normal Ole Anosham Reshon Me'ela. Asks the Gemara, Bishloim Aude Komishtabe Koi Bisura. I understand the guy makes a Shevuas Sheker, he's over an Isser, so that's why it's called the Rasha, right? And the pasuk applies to him. Alahude Komash Belei. But the person who makes him swear the Toiveya, he's Toiveya Kedin. Amai, why is he called the Rasha? Why are you calling the guy who makes the claim Kedin, because the guy owes him money, why is he called the Rasha as well? Says the Gemara Kedatanya, Reb Shimon Metarfer Oimer, Shevuas Hashem tia bein shneim, Melamed shecholo Shavua al shneim. Wow, that the Shavua goes on both of them, which means what? That the Teveya is also held responsible. Why?
Because he told somebody to swear.
More than that, he never should have given his money to somebody who's not Neman. He should have chapped that not to give his money to somebody who's not a Neman, somebody who can come to Shevuas Sheker. Unbelievable.
You want to tell me we have to get a polygraph to
Yes.
everybody that you give money?
What is that?
Give a polygraph to everybody that you give money to.
So in other words, you do a background check.
Yeah.
You got to do a background check sometimes.
Polygraph.
Yeah, it's not so pashut.
I wouldn't have known better.
Right. I mean, anybody here lent money to somebody who never paid back? You have an experience like that? Yeah? A lot of money or just a little money?
A lot of money. Depends.
How much money?
It wasn't that much. It was like,
A couple of thousand?
yeah, with one person it was like $4,000. Another
Yeah.
person.
It's very painful,
One
no?
person paid back after 5 years.
It's very painful, no?
Yeah, it's like that. It's like whatever.
I don't know, to me it's very painful. I had a guy, lent him money, said 5,000, I was...
Borrow, I don't let.
Kach hazeh.
You saw him again?
Kach hazeh. Yeah, it's every day, yeah. Shabbos, we see each other, yeah.
Paying it back. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's very
Like your story
frustrating.
about the person that
It makes
stole
you not
half.
want to lend money anybody, ever again. I don't know, that wasn't grammatically correct. But, huh?
You cannot think like that.
Yeah. Kach hazeh. Tzrichim Okay.
להתגבר על זה.
Yeah, Reb Shol is my mashgiach, by the way.
אתה יודע, אני-
Make sure that I stay in line and stay in check.
אני חושב שבן אדם שמלווה כסף צריך לקחת בחשבון שהוא לא יראה את הכסף.
If you can't,
באמת?
if you can't afford to lose it,
לא.
don't lend it.
Exactly. If you cannot afford, exactly.
What?
If you
You
can't
cannot
afford
afford
to
to
lose
lose
it,
it, don't lend it.
This is a big thing.
You have to view it as tzedakah also. When,
It's a whole
when
concept.
You lend money, you should lend it out of your tzedakah, your meiser.
Can you do that?
Of course you can. Of course you
Uh-huh.
can. And so then when you
depends
get
who you're lending it to.
Okay,
you
I'll
don't
pay
get
myself
paid
back from ISO now.
If you get paid back, if he pays you back, then you have to re-give it as meiser anyway. If he doesn't pay you back, it's just tzedakah.
Okay. I accept the feedback. Shikoyach Chevra.
get a lottery ticket.
But if you do, you get a lottery ticket. Took him 10 years though. By the way, it seems like this guy is held accountable to Teveya because he didn't check into the person he lent the money to see if he's a neman or not. So he's responsible for the Shevuos sheker that came out of
זה
it.
נקרא פשע, אתה פושע לכסף שהשם נתן לך.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you have to know who you give it
You
to.
don't care about
Does
the money Hashem
Bezdin
gave
punish
you.
him? This the guy
You know,
that...
Hashem gave you money.
Hashem punishes him.
No, Hashem gave you money.
show him.
Hashem wants you to be responsible with the money He gives you.
Yeah.
And you're going to give it to a...
Yeah.
To a
Somebody's not trustworthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Gemara, that you don't make the shvuah. And the guy is ready to make the shvuah. You just let him know you're not making the shvuah based on your interpretation of your shvuah, of your words. It's based on our interpretation of your words, which means the world's, however the world interprets it, you don't get to interpret, money, thinking like I gave you a tissue, call that money, and now you're swearing that you paid him money.
What about bunny ears?
That's not how it works. Huh?
What about bunny ears?
Bunny, okay. So the Gemara says, why does it have to say that? What's it from Kanya Dirava? What happened with Kanya Dirava? The famous Kanya Dirava. You know what the story Kanya Dirava is? A guy made a shvuah in the bezdin of Rava, right? And I swear I paid you back. He was holding a stick right before he made the shvuah. So he asked the malva, the teveya, to hold the stick. The stick had full of money, had coins inside. So as the malva held the stick for him, as if to help him out, he didn't realize that it had money inside. The loiva swears, I swear I gave you the money. And and what happened was, al da'atoi, he meant I gave you the kanya, I gave you the kana, the stick, right? Nobody knew about it. So in his mind, because of his interpretation, he didn't swear falsely. So we have to let him know, no, you are swearing al das bezdin, and bezdin is not considering the stick as a
It
payment.
wasn't a valid...
Yeah, that's why we say, after that, they decided to say that al das bezdin. Okay, so we get more weiter. Ataina shtei kesef. We learned in the Mishnah. The case of moide b'miktzas means that the teveya has to be teveya at least shtei kesef, right? And the hoidah has to be a shava pruta. That's a moide b'miktzas.
אז חכמים עשו תקנה.
Yes, that's the takana that we say al das bezdin. Yes.
הוא לא יכול לעשות...
Lo yachol asot kunzen. Yeah, you know what kunzen is, Rav Shol, yeah? Yiddish. You know what kunzen is? A kunz. Yeah, something like patent, tachbula. Yeah. Yeah, a trick, yeah. So, moide b'miktzas, right? That's one of the Shevuos Adayon is moide b'miktzas. The Mishnah says the way moide b'miktzas works is that the Teveya comes to Bezdin and says you owe me shtei kesef. It has to be at least a claim over shtei kesef, and the nitba has to be moide to at least a shava pruta. Now, there's one basic element that's missing in the Mishnah we don't know about. It's Michlekes Rav and Shmuel over here. The guy has to claim shtei kesef. The nitba has to be moide a shava pruta. But how much is he kaifer? That's the shaila. How much is he kaifer, right? Is he kaifer in shtei kesef or is he kaifer even if he's koifer in a pruta?
No.
How much is the nitba koifer? He's more than a pruta, but it doesn't say how much he has to be koifer in.
מודה בפרוטה.
But how much is he koifer? Does he have to be koifer in shtei kesef?
שתי כסף פחות הפרוטה, מה זה כסף?
שתי כסף פחות מפרוטה. Okay, we'll see. That's מחלוקת המרואים. עכשיו, אומר רב, כפירס תיינה, שתי כסף. The kfira has to also be שתי כסף besides for the idov של הפרוטה. He has to be koifer שתי כסף. Shmuel אומר, like you just said, תיינה עצמו שתי כסף. The claim is on שתי כסף. And אפילו לא כופר אלא בפרוטה, ולא יודע אלא בפרוטה חייב. Yeah, as long as you're koifer some of the shtei kesef and you're moed some of the shtei kesef, you're good to go. That's already a Shevuos moed b'miktzas. Omar Rava, daika masnisin kavsei the Rav, kroi kavsei the Shmuel. If you look at the Mishnah is a raya to Rav. If you look at the Psukim in the Torah, it's a raya to Shmuel. Daika masnisin kavsei the Rav. What's the deal according to Rav? The Ktoni atan shtei kesef aydoj shel pruta. It says the taina shtei kesef and aydoj shel pruta. The ilu kfiras taina pruta lektani. It's missing the kfiras taina bepruta. Must be. Why didn't the Mishnah mention that? Because it doesn't work. You have to be koifer b'shtei kesef. Na'nami aidah bepruta. V'il kfira bepruta lektani. It says the aidah is a pruta, but it doesn't say anything about the kfira. So mashma that the kfira is not enough bepruta. It needs to be shtei kesef. That's Rav. Ikroi kavasei the Shmuel. The Psukim is a right to Shmuel. The Chsiv. It says in the Pasuk in Mishpatim Kit nishal re'eyu kesef v'kelim nishmoy ma kelim shnayim. Just like kelim is plural, not a keli, right? Al tvilas keli or kelim, right? When you do one whole shiloh, but kelim is shnayim. Ma kelim shnayim.
Is that taka shiloh?
Yeah.
I do one all the time. I do kli. Okay. I didn't know.
You do kli, yeah?
אתה לא אומר כלים? אז טבילת
The nusach habrocha might be kelim even in one.
כלים.
Yeah.
Bracha l'matala,
Okay, we're getting completely sidetracked over here. I say kelim also, even in one. Yeah. It could be that the machlekes apais converted. Okay, ma kelim shnayim. Right, this is over here. It says kelim shnayim, so maybe that's why you're doing it on one. Right, keli. Af kesef shnayim. So to kesef is shnayim. When it says you're denying somebody's kesef, ma kesef davar choshev, af koil davar choshev. U'ka'amar achmana ki hu zeh. Torah is saying that you're being moida a ki hu zeh, which is going on the shtei kesef mentioned earlier in the pasuk. So you're being moida a pruta of the shtei kesef, which means what are you being koifer? The change. The change is not shtei kesef. So the kfir doesn't have to be a shtei kesef. That's what you said.
אומר שיש הנוסח אם זה כלי אחד, זה הספרדים. כלי אחד אומר כלי.
Sfardim, yeah. Okay, so you know like the Sfardim.
Yeah, there you go.
You have Sephardic blood in you? Oh, okay.
אם יותר מכלי אחד, כלי.
But the Ashkenazim say Kalim even in one, right?
נבדוק עכשיו, אני
Okay.
עכשיו גם דיבר אשכנזים.
I know that.
Des Yehuda, yeah. The brach is Kalim. Yeah, but it's even in one.
I wasn't sure if that was only one.
Okay.
Good to know.
Geschmacky conversation in the middle of Shevuos, huh? V'Rav, hu mi boile lo ido b'miktzas hatayna. Rav says, no, the word zeh is coming to teach you ido b'miktzas hatayna. It's not the pshat that it's going back on the shtei kesef mentioned in the previous pasuk. Yeah, nothing to do with that. And the kfira still has to be b'shtei kesef. Shmuel, ksiv kihu, ksiv zeh. It says who and zeh.
אשכנזים מברכים תמיד על טבילת כלים.
Oh, that's what I do. Yes.
רק הספרדים מחלקים.
Okay, very good. Okay, yesh לך על מי לסמך. ספרדים are איי, but יש לך על מי לסמך. No, just kidding. כן, בוודאי, יש להם את המסורת. שמואל כסיב, הוא כסיב זה. It says who and it says זה. Why does it say both? Yikaf mixes v'oidu mixes chayiv. So it's teaching a moidu mixes, which is going on the taina shtei kesef earlier in the pasuk. But Rav chad lo do mixes taina, v'chad lo do min taina. It's not extra. Right? Shmuel is saying who is extra, it's going on the shtei kesef that's mentioned earlier. Rav says no, it's not extra. One is teaching you the halacha of moida b'miktzas, and one is moida b'minatayna. We saw in the Mishnah yesterday that if you're moida, guy makes two claims, you're moida in one and not in the other, in two different meaning, that's not a moida b'miktzas. It has to be b'minatayna. Is Shmuel lav memela shamet menei the chosra latayna? Don't we know that memela? Yeah, so it's not a yitur kosev. There's no yitur, there's no extra word. And Mamela, it must be that the kfira is the change of the shtei kesef. Okay, we'll just end with this. Elo omer lach Rav. Rav has a different raya. It says like this: Kesef ki osim ikara lekfira do asa. When it says kesef in the Torah, it's talking about the kfira. Dim kein licht ramano. Why? How do I know it's talking about the kfira, the shtei kesef? Because otherwise, it doesn't have to say kesef at all. It should say kit nishlorei kelim lishma. V'ano min ma kelim shnayim af kol shnayim. What is it kesef? Kesef the kesef manu lomali. Imeini nitayit neilin inyan lekfira. So the word kesef is extra according to Rav to teach you that the kfira sataina, the denial, has to be at least a shtei kesef, and the idah is a pruta. Shmuel omer loch, Shmuel says, "Yikasach man kelim loikasach kesef. I mean, my kelim shnayim. I've called shnayim. But davar chashav lo beina. I still need kesef. It's not extra, because kesef is teaching you need davar chashav besides for two. Kamash malan. So kesef is teaching you that you need shnayim, kelim is shnayim, and kesef is davar chashav. So it's not extra. So Amelech, that teaches that as long as you have a dog, a pruta, and your kaifer even less than shtei kesef, you're still subject to a shua of a moed b'miktzas. To sum it up, the Gemara is going to get involved in another blood over here, rayas back and forth, but to sum it up, we have basic machlokas amiram Rav and Shmuel. Moed b'miktzas, if the idah is a pruta, how much does the kfira have to be? Does it have to be at least shtei kesef according to Rav, and according to Shmuel, even if it's less than shtei kesef, the kfira is a pruta, and the idah is a pruta, you're already chayav on a shua of moed b'miktzas. Okay, we'll stop over here. Shekoyach, Chevra.